Turn it over to Gay for the team now.
Hi. Before I start, I just want to tell you about a scary incident I had a few nights ago, and just a reminder for everybody to make sure you keep your doors locked at night. It was a couple of nights ago, and it was very windy and rainy, and it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear my barn door closed, and and I said, well, I'm not going out in that. I said, maybe I'll wait till the wind dies down, but it still kept going. Then I heard this loud knock at the door, and then you don't know what to think, well, who's knocking at my door at 3 o'clock in the morning? So I get up and I went to the door. I looked out the window, see if I could see anybody, and I could see this guy on the step. And I said, geez. So I went and there was a can of barbecue spray on the fridge. So I said, I'll take that, and if he tries anything, I'll just spray him with it, Anyway, I said, who's out there? He said, hey, buddy, I need your help. And I said, oh, geez. I looked again. He didn't look that big, so I said, okay, what do you want? I need a push. I said, I opened the door, and he's there. He said, I need a push, buddy. Could you help me out? I said, listen, I got a bad back. I wasn't going out in the rain. I said, I got a bad back. I can't push. You go over Peter McKinnon's next door. He'll help you out. But anyway, he left, and I was going back to bed, and my wife, Margaret Ann, come up, and she said, who's that? Because she was nervous, too. You got kids away, and you don't know who's at the door. And I said, that's some nut looking for a push. So she said, well, you got a short memory. I said, how? She said, well, remember a few months ago when you were driving the old Sydney Road and you ran out of gas, and this guy stopped, helped you, went to the gas station, got you gas. You're pretty appreciative, weren't you? I said, oh, gee, yeah, okay. So I went out on the step, and I hollered. He said, hey, buddy, you still out there? He said, yeah, I'm over here. I said, where? He said, over here in the swing. Anyway.
All right.
Okay. The modern version of the Waterford Strands Basketball Club is regarded as one of Cape Breton's greatest sports dynasties. I'd like to correct that a little bit. It's not one of, it is the greatest sports dynasty Cape Breton ever seen. The Strands team won an incredible 9 provincial and 7 maritime championships between 1958 and 1972. The modern Strands were formed in 1958. They adopted their name from a previous edition of the Strands teams, one of which won a Canadian title in the 1946-47 season. The Strands gym was owned by Mount Carmel Parish and was the home court for the first version of the Strands Basketball Club. The founding group of the modern Strands, which was formed in the spring of 1958, consisted of Carl Marsh, Mel O'Nearing, Claire Larad, Marshall DeVoe, Mike Roberts, Frank Smoothie Burns, what a nickname, Al Dwyer, and team manager Vince Gillis, a high school student at the time. The Strands team had no association with Mount Carmel Parish, with the lone exception being the team used the parish's brand new gym at Mount Carmel High School. In the early years, the teams were self-financed and they had no sponsor. Throughout the 14-year history of the Strands aggregation, 3 figures stand out. The first is Marshall DeVoe, who also happens to be my dad, who was a start player on the 47-46 Canadian Championship team. Marshall was the playing coach of the 58-59 squad, and would continue to serve as coach of 7 of the 9 championship teams, which also meant I get in all the home games for free. The next is the late Russell McNeil. He was a 15-year-old youngster on the 1947-48 Strands team. Russell would be a key member for 8 of the 9 championship teams as he continued his lengthy playing career. Next was Carl Marsh, also a star player of 7 of the 9 championship teams. Carl stepped down as a player and became coach of the 1969-70 Maritime Championship squad as Marshall became the assistant coach. This team was already honored by being inducted into the Waterford and Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Carl can't be with us as he's in Calgary area visiting his daughter, Carla. In 1965, the team acquired its first sponsor, with Moosehead providing significant financial support as the team became known as the Waterford Moosehead Strands. The last championship team was in 1971-72 Maritime Championship version, which was sponsored by the Mount Carmel Parish because of Father Bill Rankin's initiative. It is interesting to note that Father Rankin's father, Bert, was the first coach of the original Strands back in the mid-40s. I'm now going to read off the names of each player on each championship team. To expedite the process, I will ask the team members or their family designates to stand to be recognized when I read their names. I will ask the group to remain standing while I call the name of a few representatives from that group to come forward to receive the plaque. After all the plaques are presented, I'm going to ask Vince Gillis, the manager of the first four teams, to come forward and say a few words on behalf of the teams. There are three plaques with the first two holding the names of three teams, while the third holds the name of the final two teams. The first plaque has the following: 1958-59 Strands, Nova Scotia champs. Carl Marsh, Wayne McGibbon, Al Dwyer, Russell McNeil, Lex McDonald, Frank McLean, Frank Smoothie Burns, Marshall DeVoe, playing coach, Mike Roberts, and Ron McGibbon. The 1959-60 Strands, Nova Scotia and Maritime champs: Ray Bozo Steele, Claire Larad, Al Dwyer, Frank Smoothie Burns, Carl Marsh, Mike Roberts, Lex McDonald, Russell McNeil, Pat Larad, Coach Marshall DeVoe, and manager Vince Gillis. 1960-61 Strands, again, Nova Scotia and Maritime champs. Marshall DeVoe coach, John Rockwell, Carl Marsh, Al Dwyer, Frank McLean, Russell McNeil, Ray Bozo Steele, Spike McKinnon, Frank Smoothie Burns, Vince Gillis, manager, Mike Roberts, Lex McDonald, Clarence Roach, and Vince Gillis. Yeah, Vince here twice. So would Smoothie Burns, Pat Larad, and Mike Roberts come forward to receive the plaque for these teams?
Give it to him, get a picture with Ray J. Let's have a look at Ray J. And then come back. Stand there. Picture that way. Good. Need a push?
Yeah. The 1962-63 Strands, there were Nova Scotia and Maritime champs. Frank Smoothie Burns left for a job in New Brunswick, so he's not on any more of these teams. Anyway, we have Ray Bozo Steele, Jerry McNeil, John King, Donnie McCauley, Frank McLean, Marshall DeVoe coach, Ray Canning, Mike Roberts, Carl Marsh, Spike McKinnon, John Rockwell, and manager Vince Gillis. The 1963-64 Strands, again, Nova Scotia and Maritime champs. Ray Bozo Steele, Donnie McCauley, Russell McNeil, John King, Marshall DeVoe coach, Spike McKinnon, Mike Roberts, Carl Marsh, Mickey Chesson, Claire Larad. The 1964-65 Strands, Nova Scotia champs. Carl Marsh, Bobby Mullins, Simon Chesson, Mike Roberts, Mickey Chesson, Russell McNeil, Ray Bozo Steele, Marshall DeVoe coach, Donnie McCauley, Spike McKinnon, Claudia McKenzie, Claire Lorad, Andre Desjardins, and Jackie Demeter. With Spike McKinnon, Donnie McCauley, and Claudia McKenzie, please come forward to accept the plaques for these teams. We're almost done, boys. Girls. Okay, the 1971, where we at? 65-66 Strands. Again, Nova Scotia Maritime champs. Spike McKinnon, Claire Lorad, Russell McNeil, Ray Bozo Steele, Simon Chesson, Mike Roberts, Claudia McKenzie, Marcel Legault coach, Roger Guillot, and Donnie McCauley. 1971-72 Strands. Nova Scotia and Maritime champs. John Gillis, coach, Carl Marsh, Uala McClellan, Archie Hutchison, Lowell Cormier, Mike Roberts, Donnie McCauley, Pius Burke, Collins McClellan, Russell McNeil, Lloyd Smith, Mike Kennedy, and Father Bill Rankin, sponsor. With Roger Guillot, Uala McClellan, and Archie Hutchison, please come forward to accept the plaque for these teams.
Over here too.
Should have told you, Donnie, if you knew you long enough, it'd work.
Okay, now I'm going to call on Vince Gillis to say a few words on behalf of these teams.
I'm going to be your favorite speaker because I'm the last one. It's not that the thing went on long, but I did get a text from my accountant saying my old age pension has run out. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for their work over the years, and I also like to recognize the other inductees into the prestigious Hall of Fame for New Waterford. And I've got to hold this closer so I can read it. I was very proud to be part of the Waterford Strands, a small part while I was in high school. And the last year I was there, I was actually a teacher at Central High School. I graduated in 1961 and I was teaching in 1962. Talk about an education reform. But Marshall Legault was the heart and soul during the time I was there. And he was the original Cito Gaston. Just sit back and let them play. The Waterford Strands were a very, very competitive team. There was no such thing as a practice game or an exhibition game. They played all out all the time. Central High School came, they played just as hard as they did against St. Avex. They played very hard. And I remember one night they played the Georgia Rebels. It was a traveling team similar to the Globetrotters, and they came out fighting. And the Strands were battling every ball that rolled anywhere. The Strands were on it. And so I was going by the showers area at halftime, and I heard one of the Georgia Rebels say, "Don't those," I'll say fellows, but it starts with F. He says, "Don't those fellows know this is an exhibition game?" And this gets better because I'm wrapping up. I also want to pay respect to the Strands names, the people behind those names that are not here tonight, because those people contributed a lot and were very instrumental in making the Strands, as Gay said, the most successful sports team in the Waterford history, perhaps in maritime history. And to pay respects in a respectful way, I want to call on the first athlete I ever coached. His name is Abs, but you may know him as Father Albert McPherson.
Vince said to keep it short. So it is an honor and a pleasure to be asked by my very longtime good friend, Vince Gillis, and coach. In high school, Rock McNeil was my coach for soccer, basketball, but for track, it was Vince Gillis. We would travel together around the province to various track meets. And he asked that we would honor the wonderful deceased athletes who have fought the good fight, ran the race for the eternal crown, the crown of eternal life. So what I'd like to do is just ask a moment of silent prayer for all those wonderful deceased athletes. And as an Augustinian priest and an All-American from the United States and the Catholic University of America Hall of Fame, it qualifies me to quote St. Paul, 1 Corinthians 9:25, that says, "Athletes make many sacrifices for a crown of leaves that withers, but we for an imperishable crown." And St. Augustine says that everything is grace. He says, show me something you have that's not been given to you. He says, here on earth we're always travelers, always on the go. Do not be complacent with what you are. When you become pleased with yourself, there you get stuck. If you say, that's enough, you're finished. Keep moving on, keep adding more, keep walking, keep forging ahead. God bless you all.
Okay, folks, thanks for your attention and time tonight. That's a wrap. Please feel free to sit around. The bar will be open to talk to the honorees. Again, congratulations to all the honorees. We hope to see you all again next year. Bye-bye.